What's good, YouTube? It's your boy King Leo, and I'm back with a mock draft Monday. Y'all ran it up on the last one. I had like 300 something views the last time I checked, so that's all love, and I appreciate it, and I'm as humble as I can be about it. So that was a 10 team. I'm gonna do another 10 team league since y'all ran that up so much. But instead of doing PPR, I'm gonna do standard, and we're back on the Fantasy Pros mock draft platform. Again, if you guys haven't used this, go use it to prepare for your drafts. It's the best thing. It's simulated by AI with like actual competitive rankings instead of just like ESPN, ADP. So awesome to use. Again, Sleeper is another one. But we're going to get into it again. 10 team standard. I haven't played in a standard league probably for like 4 or 5 years. But again, I mean, I understand the concepts of it. The only thing that's less valuable than PPR is pass catchers, like pass catching backs or a high volume target and reception guys. So you kind of like the red zone touchdown people kind of balance more out in this. But we're going to get into it. We're going to randomize the draft pick. I think I had like, I don't even remember, 4th pick or something last, but let's see what we get. 6. I think I had 6 with, we're trying to get something different. They just want me to have a high pick. Okay, 8. We'll go with the 8th pick. Let me make sure I didn't have that in one of my videos already because I do not remember. Sadly, I do not remember. So I had the 3rd and the 6th. So the 8th pick's perfect. We'll do the 8th pick. 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex, 7 bench spots for this mock. We're going to get right into it. Standard. This is interesting. I haven't done one yet, so kind of want to see how the order shapes out to be. McCaffrey goes 1. I would think Jonathan Taylor would normally go 1, and Derrick Henry should not be going 7th in a standard. So let's go look at how it fell. Eckler 3, Cup 4, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry. That's really interesting to me. I see a lot of like PPR guys going. Like I think Derrick Henry should probably slide up. Jonathan Taylor should probably be, well, I guess McCaffrey, him are interchangeable. But Derrick Henry going at 7 is really shocking to me. But either way, let's go. Let's get into it. We're going to hide the drafted players. So top prospects on the board is Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Najee Harris, Travis Kelsey, Jamar Chase. Man, 10-team league, so I'm going to get somewhat of a quick turnaround. I think really my pick here would be Najee Harris just because of the workload that we're expecting him to get again this season. So he's going to be involved in, getting receiving yards, heavy touches, should get, some touchdowns in there. Even though the offense isn't that great, there's not really a high touchdown ceiling, but he's going to be used on the goal line. But just for the sure volume, I think Najee Harris is the right pick here. Nick Chubb kind of in that split backfield. Now, he's been super productive still with Kareem Hunt there, but I'm not a fan of that. Joe Mixon, I love. Joe Mixon, great offense he's in, should have touchdown potential. He catches the ball, so he'll have additional touches. It's not a PPR league, so it's not as value, but, a touch is a touch. You're still racking up yards. But I went with Najee Harris in one of the other videos, so I believe in this one we're going to go with Joe Mixon. But I would go Najee, but Joe Mixon is a great pick still here if you guys are Joe Mixon fans. I think Jamar Chase, even all those guys in that first tier right there are great picks to start your draft. Personally, I like to start with a running back because running backs, they fall off after a while. So making sure you get at least one good stud running back to solidify your team, that's a great way to go. So here we are now. I need to pull up my team over here, roster. All these ads in the way, but okay. Joe Mixon. Next pick here, we have Travis Kelsey. Now, Travis Kelsey is getting older, so I think, we're really expecting to see some regression eventually. But this year, I mean, they lost Tyreek Hill. Now, they did bring in Juju, Sky Moore, and another abundance of guys, but I think Travis Kelsey is still, the clear-cut number 1 option in this offense. And he's like the only guy that Patrick Mahomes is familiar with. So he should get a lot of targets, probably more than even last season. The only problem is that with Tyreek Hill being gone, he's going to draw more attention and he's going to be more of a focus, for opposing defenses to shut him down. So that could, hinder, I think, his ceiling. But really, I still think he's a great pick here. A tight end is another really valuable position. I think Stephon Diggs is good. Mark Andrews. I think, Devontae Adams is interesting. There's so many good players in this range. It's really good to be at the back end of drafts if you don't have like the first or second, even third pick. When you get in that middle, you kind of have like a tough way over. But versus being at the back, you can get two really great players to like build your team around. And you have options. I could go running back. I could go, running back tight end. I can go receiver running back or double receiver down. So, tons of options here. But I think I'm going to go with Travis Kelsey. Mark Andrews, if you wanted to go tight end, very well could be the number one tight end this year. I believe he was last season. But I think with, Tyreek Hill being gone, I think Travis Kelsey becomes even more involved in the offense. So we're going to go with him. We'll get a tight end to really give us a matchup advantage versus opponents each week of the season. Now here we go at our third pick. Let's see who went off the board. So we took Joe Mixon, Travis Kelsey, Adams, Saquon, Diggs, Javonte Williams in the second round of a regular standard league is kind of high to me. I think, he phenomenal last year. I think PFF had him graded really high. He had the most forced missed tackles. But Melvin Gordon is still there. I don't think it's going to be Javonte Williams dominant unless Melvin goes down. But I think they're going to split carries. I don't expect it to be super run heavy. I think it'd be more of a balanced attack. But just, picking a split running like backfield in the second round is just really high to me. I think I would rather even go with, guys like Kamara, even facing the suspension. No, I wouldn't do that. Don't do that. Scratch that. Because he has a potential 6-game suspension. But I would go with Aaron Jones, even like Kyle Pitts, Debo. Those are all good guys to go with. But third pick here. So we have Joe Mixon and Travis Kelsey. Mike Evans is on the board. It's kind of slid a little bit. Other guys, Josh Allen, Zeke Elliott, Michael Pittman. I think really just because of how much he slid, I'm going to go with Mike Evans just because he's best player available and he's the biggest value here because he shouldn't really get this low in standard drafts. And, the touchdown potential is there. Last season, he had 14 touchdowns, 114 targets. So I expect the same this year with, Godwin kind of dealing with injuries. Who else? Gronkowski retired, so that opens more touchdown potential for Mike Evans. Even, Antonio Brown is not there. Like, a lot of targets got vacated this past offseason with the Bucs. And they did bring Julio in. But Julio has been so beat up the last couple of years. How long can we expect him to be healthy? So Mike Evans is going to be my pick here just because of the value. Love that pick. Let's see who goes. Wow. So I could really still come back here and get the number one quarterback for fantasy, Josh Allen, if I wanted to go that route. Also, bunch of great stud receivers here. Now, all the backs have kind of fallen off, really. Like that top tier of backs, they've all got drafted. I think there's some guys with high potential still there. Guys like Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins is an interesting name coming off of an injury, but being in that rushing Baltimore offense, I think I like that. Rashad Penny has a lot of upside. But I think the route for me here is going to go be quarterback. So I'm going to have Josh Allen as my quarterback. I'm going to select him. So now I have probably the number one quarterback, where we're just going to say top 3 quarterback in this fantasy league. I have a RB1 Joe Mixon and a great offense. I have Mike Evans, who is bound to see double-digit touchdowns and an elite target share. And I also had the number one tight end in fantasy, arguably, with Travis Kelsey. So this team is just actually coming together phenomenally right now. Just with the quarterback tight end duo, I have matchup advantages there. That's what you want to create. You want to have the best players at the best positions in fantasy. And I have two of those at quarterback and tight end. And then I have super capable running back and wide receiver with Joe Mixon and Mike Evans. So now coming into the fifth round, let's see guys that went off the board. So it worked back this way. We got Josh Allen. So Breece Hall went, Patrick Mahomes, Michael Pittman. This is a good range of players. If you guys are, able to trade in your drafts, go trade for fourth and fifth round picks. ETN, Elijah Mitchell, Cortland Sutton, Deontay Johnson. That's a great range of guys that you could maybe add if you give up, maybe you have to find that dead area. We'll probably see a dead area in this draft. See if we can find that dead area and then give them another late round pick to come up. Or even if you were in a spot up front that you didn't like and you wanted to trade back, a couple of spots, but then pick up a fourth or fifth round, that's ideal as well. But here we go. Let's see what we got on the board. Still needing another running back. Guys there: J.K. Dobbins, A.J. Dillon, Rashad Penny. Receivers, we're looking at DK Metcalf, Gabe Davis, Allen Robinson. That's a name I like. I think with this pick, it might. I'm not even going to call it a reach. She's just being undervalued right now. Is Allen Robinson. First of all, the reports out of camp with Allen Robinson have been phenomenal. 2, he's the clear-cut number 2 wide receiver in the Rams offense, which was also phenomenal last year. Cooper Kupp, of course, is going to demand, a good target share. But other than that, they don't really have guys that's going to get the ball thrown at them. And Allen Robinson has been a great receiver in this league for years now. And he just hasn't played with a good quarterback. I mean, Blake Bortles, and then he went, I don't even remember who the quarterback in Chicago was before Justin Fields. Comment in the comment section. I can't even think of it. But he hasn't played with a good quarterback. Like, Matthew Stafford is going to be the first, elite / very good level quarterback, depending on where you guys personally have him ranked, that he's ever played with. So I think his upside could be this could be potentially the best season he's ever had, even as a number 2 wide receiver. But yeah, easy pick here for me. I'm going with Allen Robinson. They said that he's been killing it in camp. He's been phenomenal. So we'll go with him here. Next pick, I think I have to go with a running back because it gets really slim picking after that. And one name is sticking out to me. That's Rashad Penny. Bad thing about it is it's going to be a really bad offense. So scoring opportunities are probably going to be marginal. Also, Kenneth Walker, they did draft him in this past draft. So I think he'll kind of push for touches with against Penny. But really, Penny is he's the clear-cut guy. He's been with Seattle for a couple seasons now. This is his season to shine. He's been kind of in a rotational type of role. But now that Chris Carson is gone, he retired. Shout out to Chris Carson. I loved him as a player. But this is Penny's time. This is Penny's year. He has a, the reports right here, let's see, projected to step into a workhorse role. So if we see that and we're getting a workhorse running back in the, the 6th round, we take that all day, whether it be PPR or standard. You take a guy that's going to get, 20 plus carries, plus maybe a couple catches thrown in there. Even if he got 15 plus touches, if you're getting a guy that's going to get that every week in the 6th round, you take that without hesitating. So we're going to go with Rashad Penny here. So this team is coming together super nice. I love it right now. If I was going into a league with this team, I would be extremely happy. So let's look at some of the guys that came off the board. Where were we at? Rashad Penny, Kittle came off, Lamar Jackson, Treylon Burks, Kyler Murray. A lot of the quarterbacks came off. So we're still needing a flex. So we're kind of just wide open. We can go in any direction with this pick. Gabe Davis, a guy in a good offense. the number 2 receiver there now. With the last time we seen him play, we seen what he did in the playoffs. Played phenomenal. It's just now, is he gonna not give us that, but give us some consistency over a full season as the clear-cut number 2? And I think he has the talent to do that. But right now, I'm gonna wait on it a little bit, just to make sure that I don't reach for a guy that we don't really know a lot about. Next guy down on the board, Jerry Judy, a guy that should be in a very great offense, has Russell Wilson throwing the ball. As a talent, he was a first round pick for a reason. He is an elite route runner. He's explosive. The only problem with him is that his hands, he's also had an injury knacks, but his hands have been really mediocre. He's dropped a lot of balls. Darnell Mooney, that's a number 1 wide receiver right now in a Chicago offense. Also, that isn't very good. But when you're the clear-cut guy in the offense and you're going to get targets like he had a lot of targets last year, especially when Robinson was out. So now that Robinson is gone, he's the clear-cut, number 1 guy in this offense. We should see progression from Justin Fields. So that will help him. And like I said, there's nobody that's going to push in for targets. So if you're getting targets, you're getting points because you're getting catches and yards and touchdowns. So I think I'm going to go with Mooney here. Even though I believe guys like Jerry Judy, even like Rashad Bateman as a talent, they're better. But just because of the situation Darnell Mooney is that he's being the only guy really capable as a pass catcher other than Cole Kmet in the Chicago offense, we're going to go with Darnell Mooney. Should be a lock for 1,000 yards. If you're getting guys that are going to get 1,000 yards receiving this late in the draft, you take them. And I think even I'm going to double up and I'm going to go draft Jerry Judy just because he failed to me still. We're going to pick him too. Sometimes, if guys fall, you just take the value. Position, like, don't even worry about the position. You just take the value. And if somebody goes down, Judy is a good guy to slide in, even trade value if I needed to trade him. So I think Tom Brady going this late is ridiculous. I almost want to pick him. Because, 1, Tom Brady threw for the most passing yards in the league last season. 2, he's going to probably do it again. Like, he threw for 5,300 yards last year. He finished as the 3rd best quarterback, but he's being drafted this late. He's a year older, but nothing has really changed. I mean, there's guys dealing with injuries there, but Tom Brady is going to throw the football. So, really, I think I might go with him here just to have 2 good, quarterbacks, capable quarterbacks, and again, loading up on value. If somebody is in need of a quarterback, I can trade him Tom Brady for, another, like a RB2 if I needed to. Okay. So this pick, there's 2 guys I'm battling here, and they're 2 young guys, guys with upside. One being a receiver, one being a running back, both being rookies. I'm going to start with the running back, James Cook, in a Buffalo offense. Not really good, running backs there in the past years. Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. I think there could be potential for James Cook to come in there and just take away the backfield. He's going to have the pass catching role. That's what they, reached for him kind of in the draft to do for this offense. They've been trying to get a guy like this for a while now. So he's definitely going to have the pass catching role. And I think potentially he can come in and take over most of the carries and the goal line work, depending on how he plays and how productive that he is. And again, Buffalo's offense is really explosive and he'll have a lot of scoring opportunities. So that's a route for me. Also, another young guy for me, Drake London of the Atlanta Falcons. They picked him 8 in the draft. Comes in, instantly put into that number 1 wide receiver role. So he should get targets. Now, quarterback situation isn't really ideal there. Michael Pittman, but Kyle Pitts is there. So he's probably going to be second in target share. but that's, still good at this point in the draft. The only thing that's really knocking me is that Atlanta's offense is not that good. And also the quarterback situation, even though I believe he's a great player, if you're playing Dynasty Leagues, go get Drake London. But for this situation, I'm going to pick James Cook simply of the potential that he could be the number one running back in the Buffalo Bills offense. And I could even get him as a stack with Josh Allen, even though it's not like PPR, but that could really work out for me. It could kind of be like an Alvin Kamara situation a couple years ago when he came into the league, and they had Mark Ingram and Adrian Peterson there to dominate the carries. Alvin Kamara got drafted to be, the pass-catching role, and then they seen what Alvin Kamara was capable of, and they instantly implemented a bigger role for him in the offense with carries, catching, putting him in the slot. So I can see the same potential for James Cook. So we're going to take him here. Oh, yeah. I see there's a lot of young guys going off the board. See guys like, let's see where we at. It's like Tom Brady, James Cook. So guys like Drake London, like we talked about, Dameon Pierce, the number one running back in a Houston offense. Now, again, we talk about this all the time. Are these players in good offenses? Because that's ultimately is going to what leads them to scoring touchdowns. So, he should have the volume and carries to be productive in fantasy, but the touchdowns. And with this being a PPR league, not PPR, with this being a standard league and not PPR, touchdowns are going to be more heavily valued. So that's a guy there, has question marks, but, he has a solid ceiling. Chris Olave, great talent, super great talent. But, they brought Jarvis Landry in, a veteran guy. Also, Michael Thomas is coming back this season. Now, we don't know what he's going to be, but I'm sure that he's going to start out, in the number one role. Jameis Winston is a quarterback, inconsistent play from him. Sometimes Jameis is great. Sometimes he's terrible. So I think Chris Olave is kind of one of those hit or miss guys right now. Like if you started him through the season. So I think 1 week he'd go out and, score 2 touchdowns, catch 7 passes. And the next week he can catch 2 balls for 15 yards. So I think Chris Olave is going to be like hit or miss this year. Isaiah Spiller is a guy that, honestly, I like. I think you shouldn't reach for him, but if he ends up falling to you, go ahead and take him because he's going to take on early down work. I'm not going to say he's going to get every early down carry, but he's going to get early down work for that Chargers offense. Again, Chargers offense, good offense. He'll have goal line attempts, so that's valuable. But, he's not going to have the pass catching role. And Austin Eckler has had injury problems lately, so if he goes down, Isaiah Spiller is a clear-cut RB1 to start weekly if he goes down for whatever reason. But let's get into our next pick. Let's see what we're looking at. Cheat sheet. So top players on the board are 3 tight ends. We have a stud tight end. Would it be bad to go out and pick a Dawson Knox or TJ Hawkinson? No. Not at all. I still might very well do that. I like the quarterbacks there. Trey Lance, Rodgers, Cousins, Carr. I think I would be comfortable with them starting as my number 1 quarterback. But we went and we picked Josh Allen and Tom Brady. So we're good at quarterback. We're going to stay away from quarterback. I think the safest and even most valuable pick here is going to be to go with TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson has been solid for fantasy the past couple years. And he's still probably, what do they have him here as? Tight end what? He's probably like a top 8 tight end, number 8 tight end. So in a 10-team league, I'm still getting 2 top 8 tight ends. So that also puts one of the teams in the league having to get guys off of waivers because they didn't select one of the top 10. I have 2 of them. So that's one guy in my league that's going to have to play waivers every week finding guys. So also a little something to think about there. I think I'm going to pick him. TJ Hawkinson should see improvement from the Lions offense this year. They brought a lot of guys in to be able to help Jared Goff. So next pick, not a lot of people went in this range. Gosh, would it be bad to go with 3 quarterbacks? Because I think Derek Carr's potential this year is actually insane. Even Kirk Cousins and Trey Lance. So if I'm looking at my team, even though I really love the value of these guys and the potential, I'm not going to go quarterback simply because I think I have 2 top 5 quarterbacks for fantasy. So I'm going to stay away from that. Running back, Mixon, Penny. We have one solid guy in Mixon. He's like a RB2, but potentially RB1 if he gets that crazy workload like they're talking about. And Rashad Penny. Also have high ceiling James Cook. And then I have 4 wide receivers right now. Even though I have guys like Garrett Wilson and Russell Gage there, that'd be really nice. So I think I'm going to target a running back. So when we come down here to the running backs, there's a couple of solid names here. James Robinson, been great for fantasy the last 2 years. Right now, he's kind of coming off that, what was it, Achilles? I think it was an Achilles tear. It might have been ACL. It was one of the two. But he's recovering from that. Also, Travis Etienne is there, so he's going to see a lot of work. So I'm not really too sold on James Robinson. Gus Edwards, a guy that I would like. Khalil Herbert was phenomenal when he played last year. But I think that I'm going to go with Nyheim Hines because I know Nyheim Hines, what his role is right now, and that he's going to fulfill that role. And that's going to be catching passes. Now, this isn't a PPR league, which doesn't make that as valuable. But I know that Nyheim Hines is going to be on the field getting touches. And, if Jonathan Taylor was to go down, Nyheim Hines is one of the best handcuffs to have because the Colts offensive line is the best offensive line in football. So he should have a lot of rushing upside if Jonathan Taylor was to go down. So I'm going to go with Nyheim Hines. Now, defenses should be coming off the board here in a second. So I might go ahead and reach for one just to get one of the top defenses to solidify our team. And I'm also at the, I believe, am I at the back? So I'm going to get, this 8th pick here in the round. And I'm going to have a quick turnaround so I can also get a really good kicker. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go out and I'm going to pick, what defense do we want? I have my defenses I like this year. We're going to go with the Buffalo Bills, I guess. They're the number 1 ranked defense. I think they're a little bit, not as good as they're supposed to be from last season. But they added Von Miller. They still have, a great secondary to generate interceptions. So we're going to go with Buffalo. It's also a hard place to play, especially late in the year for teams. So that should lower point totals against them and also create turnovers. Now we can go out and pick a kicker. Unless there's a big value player here. I don't really see nobody that's fallen. So we're going to go pick Justin Tucker, number 1 kicker in the league. He has 60-yard field goal potential, which is insane. So this roster is actually really good. Now, with these last 2 picks, guys that you want to find are guys that could be potential league winners. League winners meaning, guys that were drafted late and they exceeded their potential by a large amount. And that really can, guys that can get into your lineup and be super productive and, have like RB1 or wide receiver 1 potential. Guys like that I see here, it's kind of slim pickings. But I believe Zamir White is the name. But then you also notice the name right above him is Kenyon Drake. So that's 2 guys in the Las Vegas offense that are really going to compete against each other for that number 2 role. So you might ask, all right, well, they have a number 1 in Josh Jacobs, but then they have 2 number 2s, and really they have another guy, Brendan Bolden, there, and Amir Abdullah. So they got guys in that backfield. But Zamir White was the number 1 player coming out of high school. Super talented. He dealt with a lot of injuries in college. That's why I believe, we've kind of forgotten about him. But as a talent, Zamir White is, elite. When he was in high school, this guy was explosive. But I think this late in the draft, you can take a guy like this. In the Hall of Fame game, we're going to be having that video come out tomorrow, actually, too, so check that out. He was on the field. He was productive, caught passes, ran well. So also looking at a big picture, the Raiders didn't pick up Josh Jacobs' 5th-year option. So that kind of signs that they're going to steer away from him unless he just plays out of his mind this year. But Josh Jacobs is getting older. Running backs decline as they get older. The Raiders also didn't commit to him for next season, so they might be looking elsewhere. Kenyon Drake is a veteran guy. Amir Abdullah is a veteran guy, but Zamir White is a young, fresh guy. So he could come into this organization, show his talent, and show that he deserves to be the number 1 running back for this team. So I'm going to pick Zamir White. He might not, bolster the carries or production that I'm expecting this year or hoping for, but he will eventually. But just for the fact that it might be this year, we're going to take him. So now I got one more pick coming here. Kenyon Drake still there. This is tough. Valdez Scantling. Not really a name that's sticking out. But, man, this is tough. I like a guy like Cole Kmet, but I don't want to load up on, tight ends. I think Cole Kmet is a lock to be a top 12 tight end this season. Trevor Lawrence should play a lot better with the weapons they added around him. Also, he's in a more professional coaching staff now. Another super high upside guy, maybe Davis Price of the 49ers, rookie running back. The Niners, they kind of find a different guy each season. They kind of just roll with the hot hand. Also, Albert O, the tight end, and Denver is the guy. But I think, there's not really a big standout guy. Actually, I'm going to do this. I would probably go Cole Kmet if I didn't have 2 tight ends already, just because Cole Kmet should be a lock as a top 12 tight end. Chicago doesn't have a lot of pass catchers like we talked about outside of Darnell Mooney and him. So he's going to get targets. But, scrolling way down here, we have Joshua Palmer and KJ Osborne. Both of these guys are number 3 options, and which are going to be pass-heavy attacks. The Minnesota offense is super condensed. They only use their really top 3 guys. They don't spread the ball around that much or rotate guys. Joshua Palmer has been phenomenal in camp, what we hear, and he's solidified in that number 3 role behind Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But KJ Osborne as well is my guy. But I think I'm going to go with Joshua Palmer, playing with Justin Herbert, high explosive Chargers offense. Mike Williams is known to go down, has had injury problems in the past, could go down. Keenan Allen's getting older, so I think the door for this guy, long term is wide open. For this season, he's going to be the number 3 guy. I think that his potential could be very, very well. Very, very good. It just depends on the opportunity that he's going to get. But he's been killing it in camp, I hear. They said that he's a lock for number 3. They have those top 2 guys, and then usually, you'll have 3 guys that kind of compete for target share. But they said Joshua Palmer is number 3. So with this elite offense, we're going to go with him. So that's the end of the draft. Honestly, I love this team. Fantasy Pros doesn't love it that well. They gave me a C-. But if we're looking at it, position by position, especially in the starting lineup, have top 3, potentially number 1 quarterback in the league. RB1 Joe Mixon, RB2 Rashad Penny, who has, he could be a workhorse running back. So if he's that, then he'll be a RB1 for sure. Mike Evans, super consistent guy, high touchdown upside, playing with Tom Brady in a good offense. Allen Robinson, number 2 wide receiver in a good offense, playing with the best quarterback he's had his whole career. Could have a career year. Travis Kelsey, been consistent for years as the top tight end in the league. He might have number 2 production this year behind Mark Andrews again, but if you're having a top 3 tight end, you're going to be a matchup advantage, 70% of the weeks in fantasy. Darnell Mooney, guy who's a clear-cut number 1 in an offense that isn't that good, but he's going to have an elite target share, elite defense, elite kicker. So I think at every position, I don't really have like a flaw. Like my worst guy on this team is probably, like as a starter, is probably Rashad Penny, I would say, just because of the unknown. But they're saying, out of the Seahawks, beat writers, he could be a workhorse running back. So imagine my weakest piece being a workhorse, 20 touch, per game type of guy. A lot of potential on the bench. We have Tom Brady, who shouldn't be sliding that far in fantasy drafts. Obviously you don't get him in a dynasty, but in a redraft league, Tom Brady is a top 5 quarterback probably. He threw for 5,300 yards last season. James Cook could come in, have like an Alvin Kamara type season potentially. So upside there. Hawkinson has been a great tight end in fantasy. Nyheim Hines, we have a handcuff, one of the elite handcuffs. There's only a couple elite handcuffs. There's tons of handcuffs, 32 to be exact. But, you have guys like Nyheim Hines, Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, guys like that. Even Kareem Hunt, I guess he's kind of a handcuff, but he's RB2. And that Cleveland Browns offense. Zamir White, another, I'm not going to say Alvin Kamara again, but he could come in, being the young guy, and give that offense, another explosive dynamic that they might be looking for. And then a number 3 receiver and an elite offense being Joshua Palmer with the Chargers. So this team is phenomenal. If you guys have any fantasy football questions about, players to target, I just dropped a sleepers video for guys going later in drafts. It was a PPR sleepers video. But comment, DM me. I have my socials in the description. Gonna be dropping a Hall of Fame game breakdown tomorrow. So if you guys see this today, go check that out tomorrow. But other than that, if you guys made it this far, thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video. I would appreciate it so much. Subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel to be, as big as it can for the whole football world and whatever else I might do on this channel in the future. But other than that, y'all have a good one. Peace.